I'm going to explain how you would have to do what you would have to do to pull a fret out of guitar. I'm going to just pull this neck up because it's easier to handle. In fact, it's a bunker tension free, so I'm just going to pull the neck out of the tension free rod out of the neck so that I have the neck more in my hand where you can see it. The first thing, let's just say that we're working with the 12th fret of the guitar. This would be your open, this would be your 12th, but any one of the frets, this actually works. First off, you have to have the exact fret wire. So remember that. If you have a luthier or somebody around that can do it, you'll find it's a lot of times come in a round fashion. That helps because when you push it in, it keeps the ends down a little better. Make sure that the height, the tang width is all the same as the fret you take out. Now, you may have to pull it out to do that, but you need that fret wire if that fret is damaged on the end or there's problems with it. You're also going to need some super glue probably if you replace a fret in the guitar. The reason for that is because you're damaging the opening a little bit, that the slot that the fret is initially cut into with the saw or whatever cuts that fret. So have the right fret wire, cut a piece 1/4 inch longer than what you really want for the length of the fret. After that, you're going to go in to get that fret out. You're going to grab some nippers. You could use other things around your shop, but you want something that lifts the fret. So you're going to go in there. You're going to get that underneath of that fret so that that actually lifts that fret. You don't want to try to pull it up like that or like this. You want to let those nippers pull that out of that fretboard. Now, sometimes a wider. Now, I just didn't have my narrower, but we have 2 or 3 widths of these. And what this does is you see it's very sharp on the bottom. That actually goes in there, gets under the fret and lifts the fret, which makes it far less, while it lifts, it's holding the wood below it, imagine. So it's a far better shot at not tearing up the wood of the guitar and having a break. Then you got another problem. So now that you've lifted the fret out and you have the fret in your hand, make sure again that it actually fits the fret wire, that it's the same. Take your calipers, make sure of this, make sure of that. If the width of the top, the tang that goes into the wood, the depth that goes in, little things. Some of those you can vary on. You want to wait till you become a full-fledged luthier before you do too much ad-libbing, let me put it that way. So get your fret ready. Now your problem is that you've got the fret out of there, and you got to figure out what you're going to do. Make sure the fret slot that you took it out of is clean. There's no tear spots. Run a little 20 thousandths, or if you have to make that out of old hacksaw, just sand that down with a grinder or something, and you can make sure that slot's nice and clean. And then when you put your fret back in, you're going to, now I've taken like I said, I've taken a bunker neck because I want that to be as little stuff that I have to bang on or whatever. I would put this on a bench and I would have it nice and clamped down, solid. Then I would put that fret in very carefully. But this time I would do something that lets you have a big choice always to do. And that is, do I want to glue that fret in? I think if it's a slot that's really hurt when you take it out, in other words, maybe it's picture wood, maybe it's not, maybe the fret, you can almost shove it down in there with your hand. No. If that's that way, I would go ahead and put a little bit of super glue on the tangs, on maybe both ends of it, where they go on, or in the wood itself. So now you're going to try to get that fret back in the neck. You'll put it over, leave the 1/4 inch. I remember I told you we're going to cut it 1/4 inch longer. So leave it out on both sides. Put it, like I said, a place where it's very solid and supported. This one could be sorted from both ends like that, and you don't have to worry about the headstock because I've removed the headstock. It's a good, look at that. What a weapon. I mean, my goodness, I could fight a battle with that. So as you put the fret back in, put it in, get it evenly. Carefully hold one end in with something, even if you have to hold it down and tap, because you have no way to press them. If you have a press, that's great. That would have the radius and different things like that. But if you don't, make sure you hold one end of that fret down, tap this one in, then switch over and hold this one and tap this one down. Now, if it doesn't go in, and then you're going to have to tap a little in the middle, but you want it to go down. After you feel that you've got it down where it belongs, then you use your engineer skill. This is called an engineer skill. And what it is, it's a nice little hard stainless steel piece that actually lets you, it perfectly level. They're supposed to be absolutely level. Now, I checked that, but I've always found them to be. You want to make sure that fret is not up too high or down too low. Might be a little problem, but it probably is going to be up a little bit. Do the same thing. Hold one end of it and tap that down a little bit in that area, but make sure you hold that fret or have some way to hold it if you can. Tap it down. Same way on this end. Tap it down if it's a little high spot. Run that again. And you notice there's a flat end on the engineer scale and there's a round end. When you go up the neck, you really want to put the flat end so that you feel that fret. In other words, when you go up that neck, and as you go up the neck, you can tell by tipping. Now, purposely, I picked up a neck that I wanted I'm working on. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to get a little bit closer here, and I'm going to show you something. I found one that's high. See it? And if you look really close, you can see that the little engineer scale is tapping on that fret. Okay, so I would scrape that like that off, or take a file. They make very fine files. Since it's all mounted, the neck I'm holding with my hand, you can carefully go over that fret and get that fret down until it was at the proper height. But as I went up, I felt that fret, and that fret was high. Okay, now the others, look at the scale. It's going right over. There's no tip to it. So that one fret was really up. And I can get that down several ways in my shop because I have more sophisticated equipment, of course, to do it with. But for somebody out in the field, that you actually can do that if you're very careful. Engineer scale, and then hold it on this end, tap it a little more right there. And if you have to take it when you get it really down there, you might want to drop a little super glue into the end of it here. And then check it again, then scrape it down, make sure it's even. Now, after you've scraped it down, you still have a little problem. You want that fret to crown like the other frets. In other words, they're crowned like oval. You'll want to take what is called, it's actually a fret file, different sizes of medium, large. So whatever fits the fret, go over there and just take the crown. Make sure that's just right here, just for safety's sakes. Then you're going to take and do what I showed you before with a standard file. You're going to want to make the end the 45 degrees that they normally are. You just absolutely, I'll pull this pin out so we don't have to fight that pin right here. This is a pin that holds the tension-free neck together and gives you that more sustain and tone that you get on a tension-free neck than you would on a regular one, and a wonderful adjustment where you can adjust them back bow, forward bow, and all kinds of things. I got into that in other demos. But you're going to want to do that 45 edge and make sure that when you go up that neck, you get those at all the same. Very carefully make sure that that fret is with the other. So when you look down that neck and you look at the camera, you want those edges to look just exactly the same. When you you're done, when you look down the fingerboard, you want it to look like it's one surface and you can't even see that there's more frets. That's the real trick. When you're done and you look down that fingerboard, you get your eye close to the level of that fingerboard. You should look like it's one nice shiny piece of metal you're holding that's all straight. So now we've got the fret in, we've trimmed the edge, we've crowned it if we had to, and we're going to just once again check it with the engineer scale, of course, to make sure everything's just fine, nice now, and so your neck now basically is ready to play again. So I would then polish all of your frets, check it again, and that's basically how you're going to do it. I would also, while you're doing this, always take some type of tape that doesn't goo up the wood and use that tape between the frets. In other words, I'm not going to cut this up, but you would take a tape like this, put between the frets next to the one you're working on so that you don't have a chance of tearing it. If you get it close enough and put it down, it might also help to stop a sliver or two from coming up when you have pulled that fret out of the wood. So my thing is first thing is it's probably good to go to a luthier to do that. He's not going to charge you. He might think you're going to buy a new guitar or something from his store, and maybe you already have, and maybe you're a friend of his. So that's great. That's basically it. It's not it's a job that most people can do, and it's just more than not having the tools or having the tools that you need to do the job.